Martio here. After a quick cup of coffee and a bit of R&R, we're back after a birthday top 10. Funny doing two brothers the same week. Anyway, it's live album ranking day, and today we're going to do a gentleman that celebrated his 80th birthday recently, and that is Sir Rod Stewart. We've done his story, but we didn't look at his live albums. And of all the years, he's only officially released 4 albums, and one of them is not just Rod on his own. We'll find out. Everyone must know, though. So we're going to have a look at the 4 live albums that Rod Stewart has released officially. I know there's lots of bootlegs out there, but that's for another video. So we'll get cracking straight away. So coming in at number 4, it was released in 1993 and it's called Unplugged and Seated. Part of the MTV Unplugged thing where every band did it. I mean, it was a bit of a fad. Some worked, some didn't. And it was recorded on the February the 5th, 1993. So playing on here, you've got Rod Stewart lead vocals and banjo, which Ronnie Wood had delight telling him it's something seeing Rod actually play an instrument. Ronnie Wood's on here, of course, playing guitars. We've got Jeff Golb on guitar and the one and only Mr. Jim Cregan on guitar as well. We've got Don Tensher on guitar, mandolin and violin. Carmine Rojas on bass guitar. David Palmer does the drums. We've got Charles Kentis III on pianos and organ. Kevin Savigar on piano, organ and accordion. Phil Farpani piano on accordion, mandolin. Backing vocals were Doreen Holly, Daryl Finesse and Fred Wright. And the strings were arranged and conducted by Jeremy Lombok. So, this one opens up from a little track on Footloose and Fancy Free, and it's a great acoustic version of Hot Legs. For an acoustic track, it rocks. I love it. It's a great track. Then we have from A Night on the Town, we have Tonight's the Night, and that sounds really good as a acoustic type number. Then we have Handbags and Glad Rags, which was on the old Rome Kane Will Never Let You Down, that very first album. Then they do a version of Cut Crush Shorty, which appeared on his Gasoline Alley, and that really rocks. Then we have a song written by Ron and Rod, and it's called Every Picture Tells a Story, which was off the Every Picture Tells a Story album, of course. That's fantastic. Then we have a great little version of Maggie May. Another track from Every Picture Tells a Story, and then they do another one from that album, Reason to Believe, which is pretty cool. Great as a acoustic number. People Get Ready, which he recorded with Jeff Beck, and this is a Curtis Mayfield song, and that's brilliant. Then he does a Van Morrison song, Have I Told You Lately, which is off Vagabond Heart, and this is a much better version, I think. I really like this acoustic version. And then we do a Tom Waits track, and it's Tom Talbot's Blues, Waltzing Matilda. Now this was on an album that Rod done called Lead Vocalist. Then the first cut is the deepest, fantastic, written Cat Stevens, off A Night in the Town. Brilliant. Mandolin Wind, we're going back to the Every Picture Tells a Story. Absolutely fantastic. Then we have a little number called Highgate Shuffle, which is a bit of a boogie. Then they go and do a Faces number. One of the great tracks off A Nod As Good As a Wink to a Blind Horse, the brilliant Stay With Me. Brilliant as an acoustic track. Having a Party, Sam Cooke. Brilliant. Gasoline Alley. These are acoustic, but they certainly rock. absolutely brilliant. Now, this happens to be one of my favourite Unplugged albums because it rocks. Now, I think this one works because I think 90% of these songs that Rod wrote, this is how they started. You can always tell bands that put together songs like this, sitting around with a couple of guitars and a little drum machine. Well, in them days it wouldn't have been, but you can imagine Rod and Ronnie and Jim all sitting around there playing guitars. So I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 8 out of 10. Okay, coming in at number 3 is a live album from 1974. Now, it wasn't Rod's practice to go giving concerts as a solo act, but rather appearing jointly with the Faces. Thus, this album's a dual credited. It's Coast to Coast, Overture and Beginners, which featured Rod Stewart and the Faces. Now, it was recorded on the 17th of October 1973 at the Anaheim Arena in California. So on here, of course, you've got Rod on lead vocals, Ronnie guitars and backing vocals, Iain McLagan on keyboards. You've got Tetsu Yamauchi on bass and Kenny Jones on the drums. So this track, first track on here, is a cover, and it's All Over Now. It was written by Bobby Womack, but everyone knows that it was the first hit for the Rolling Stones, and it's brilliant. Then we have Cut Across Shorty, of course, originally released by Eddie Cochran back in the 50s, and it's a cracking version of it. Then we have a little bit of two tracks stuck together. The first one, Too Bad, is from, in fact, the Faces album, A Nod Is As Good As a Wink to a Blind Horse, and they put Every Picture Tells a Story, which is, of course, from the same title of the album. Then they do a Jimi Hendrix number from the posthumous Cry of Love album, and it's Angel, which is a brilliant track, and they do a great version of it. Then we have a bit of Stay With Me, the classic from A Nod As Good As a Wink, brilliant track. Then side 2 opens up with a cover version of I Wish It Would Rain by the Temptations. It's a really good. Then they do an Etta James number, I'd Rather Go Blind, which is absolutely brilliant. Then we go to a track from Ooh La La for a bit of Borstal Boys, and a 9-minute version which includes Amazing Grace. Then there's album chance of their version of Jealous Guy, which of course John Lennon did it originally in Roxy Music. I think this is a great album. It rocks. In fact, this is the only live album that the Faces ever released, and it's just great. You've got, and I think it was nice that in them days Rod didn't go out without going out with the Faces. So it's a great album, and I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 8.3. So coming in at number 2 is a double album released in 1982, and it's called Absolutely Live, and it's recorded at various places in America and England. We got, from America, they do it at the Forum in Long Beach, the San Diego Sports Arena, and here in the UK it was done at Wembley Arena and the NEC. So playing on here, you've got, of course, Rod Stewart on vocals, the ever-present Jim Cregan on guitars, and Robin LeMessurier on guitars. Now, of course, Robin has a famous dad and mum. It's John LeMessurier and Hattie Jakes' son. We've got Kevin Safigar on piano, plays a lot on Rod's albums, Jimmy Salvaval on harmonica and saxophones, Jay Davis on the bass, Tony Brox on the drums, and guest musicians on Stay With Me are Kim Carnes and, of course, Miss Tina Turner. So it opens up with a little bit of music composed by a certain David Rose, and he's famous for The Stripper. You get a little bit of that, and then it goes into Tonight I'm Yours. which is brilliant. Then from Smiler we do a little bit of Sweet Little Rock and Roll Up, which is a classic. Love that track. Then we have Hot Legs from the Foot Food Fancy Free. Tonight's the Night from A Night on the Town, also a great single. Then he does a cover of The Platters' Great Pretender, great track by The Platters. From Foolish Behaviour, one of my favourite albums by Rod, bit of passion. From Foolish Behaviour, again, we've got She Won't Dance For Me, which is an absolute brilliant track. And then he does a little bit of Little Queenie from Chuck Berry. You're in My Heart is on here, and the crowd go absolutely wonderful. Footloose and Frankie Free song, and a single. And then from Truth, and it's a brilliant version of it, Rock My Plimsoll. Love that track. Young Turks is on here. And then he does an Isley Brother song, I Guess I'll Always Love You, and he does a great version of that. Gasoline Alley just kicks. Maggie May, and then from Tonight You're on Tear It Up, which is good. Bit of Do You Think I'm Sexy from Blondes Have More Fun, great version of that. And then he does Sailing, of course, which is a Sutherland Brothers song, but it was on his Atlantic Crossing. Really nice version of that. I Don't Want to Talk About It, a brilliant song by Crazy Horse, and Rod always does a great version of it. And it ends up with a bit of Stay With Me. You can't go wrong with that, can you? What a tour. I'd have loved to have seen him on this tour. He sounds great. The band are playing well. There's a few great covers on here. And so I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 8.6. But my number one Rod Stewart live album is an album that came out very recently in 2014. Well, it's recent for us. It's 11 years ago. But it's live 76 to 98. And I'm not going to tell which. It's a big box set. And it's really good. So the first bit is from 1976, recorded in Leicester. On that one, we've got 3 Times Louis, You Wear It Well, Big Bayou, Tonight's the Night, Wild Side of Life, which, you know, the quote, and this is more the country. Sweet Little Rock and Rollers on here. I Don't Want to Talk About It. I just love that. The Killing of Georgie Parts 1 and 2. Fantastic version of that. Maggie May, Angel, Get Back, I Know I'm Losing You, This Heart of Mine. Brilliant version of that. Sailing's on here. Stay With Me, Born Loose, If Loving You Is Wrong, I Just Want to Make Love to You. Brilliant. Blondes Have More Fun. And then we have a medley of I'm Losing You, It's All Over Now, Standing in the Shadows, and Layla. Another thing, a medley, Twisting the Night Away, Every Picture Tells a Story, She Won't Dance For Me, one of my favourite songs, Passion, Gimme Wings, Hot Legs is on here. And then from 1989-84 we've got Tonight the Night's I'm Yours, You're in My Heart, a brilliant version of Sitting on the Dock of the Bay. Rod sings that great. Hungry Heart, not one of my favourites, but it sounds good on there. Bad For You, Some Guys All Have All the Luck, Rock Me Baby, and a really good version of Infatuation. Then I Ain't Superstitious, which is brilliant. Every Picture Tells a Story, Lost in You, Forever Young, Do You Think I'm Sexy, Crazy About Us on here. Try a Little Tenderness, You're in My Heart. And then we've got the 1991 to 1998 part. We've got Downtown Train, which sounds good. This Heart of Mine, Stay With Me Again, Sweet Soul Music, Mandolin Wind, and Highgate Shuffle. Probably a great version of Baby Jane, Please Baby Don't Go, Cuss Across Shorty, Find a Reason to Believe, Handbags and Glad Rags, Having a Party, People Get Ready, Have I Told You Lately. Then we have a little medley of Twisting the Night Away and Chain Gang. And then he does a great version of the Oasis song, Cigarettes and Alcohol, and Screams Rocks to end it. She did on that cover album. Now this is a good little box set. I mean, I think some of them later tracks from the 90s sound really cool, and the live versions of Cigarettes and Alcohol are pretty cool and rocks. So I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 9 out of 10. So there we go, a bit of live Rod to brighten up your Friday. Coming up next is a new album. It's the brand new album from Dream Theater and the return on the drums of Mike Portnoy. So we'll be doing that. So bye for now.